It is week 8, so things are getting a little bit serious now. We're approaching the midway point of the NFL season, and some teams needed some big-time performances, and they got them. Some teams had surprising big-time performances, and some teams just had devastation. It was a very strange, very all-over-the-place, but certainly noteworthy week in the NFL, so let's talk about it. Week 8 in the books in the NFL, and the big thing for me coming out of week number 8 was a few teams that desperately needed to get in the win column got into the win column. We'll start with the Buffalo Bills. Certainly not starting with the most intriguing game of the day as they whooped that ass of the Carolina Panthers a lot to 9. The Bills needed this. Back-to-back losses. Next week, they're taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. They needed to look strong against a Panthers team that is playing better this year, but isn't what we would categorize as a good football team. And the Bills went in and treated them as such. They dominated this one. And it is, again, a reminder of how this team can beat you, because Josh Allen can throw that Superman cape on and he can be dominant. Or he can throw for 163 yards, but James Cook in the backfield is going to torch you for 200 yards, helping a wife to a big win in the Vampire League, helping others to big victories, I'm assuming as well, and helping the Buffalo Bills get this. They are a complete team. Do they probably need another number one or a number one wide receiver? Yes. Yeah, I think that's a pretty safe thing to say, but they still have so many ways that they can beat you. And this was a really important kind of a get-right spot for this team going into another clash of the Titans with the Kansas City Chiefs next weekend. The Philadelphia Eagles also needed this one this week. A lot of negative headlines around this team. A.J. Brown's a distraction. The tush push is stupid. Why are you doing it 4 times in a row? Hey, your coach is still kind of crazy. By the way, your best player doesn't really look like your best player anymore. And your quarterback, not a lot of people love him right now. Instead, they come out against a Giants defense that I think needs to be respected, and they just ran it down their throat. Saquon with 150 yards. Tank Bigsby goes off as well for 100 yards in that game. Devonta Smith with a big day in the receiving core for the Eagles, and they come out, and we'll talk about the Giants side of this in a little bit and the sadness that happened over there, but this was exactly what the Eagles needed to do. It got them back to playing Philadelphia Eagles football instead of trying to force the ball to A.J. Brown, and to see that this offensive line, against a pretty good defensive front, but that this offensive line can help Saquon Barkley get that type of a performance again. It keeps that threat there and keeps the Eagles, I think, in that championship tier. It's against the Giants. So this isn't, okay, all problems are solved now, they beat the Giants, but they needed a game like this really, really bad to change that conversation. And I think the Green Bay Packers needed this as well in their game against the Steelers. Pittsburgh maybe got theirs a little bit more than the Packers would want in their matchup with Aaron Rodgers on this defense. But the important thing is that the offense gets back on track. Jordan Love, 360 yards and 3 touchdowns in the win. This is the type of performance we've been expecting from these guys all season long. And it's the type of performance that makes us frustrated when they are out here not being able to put the Dallas Cowboys away and hanging around in the fourth quarter in games with the Bengals and the Arizona Cardinals. It's because we know that there is an elite offensive football team in there, and they just don't show it as often as we would like them to. I do think it is a bit of a reminder that Jordan Love, while he does have this elite level ceiling, is still pretty young in this process and really hasn't proven a lot. And I'm saying this to me more than to anyone. It's not a critique of the overall media sphere in the NFL. I was the one who, before the Micah Parsons trade, was saying this is a Super Bowl team, and one that with Jordan Love being able to take that step should be able to really be a dominant offensive force. And you kind of forget that while we just keep projecting, okay, and now he's going to take a step, and now he's going to take a step. We haven't seen those steps yet from him. We would like to, and this was on the way to doing that, but we need to see it more, and we need to see it consistently. And we just haven't really from him. And I think sometimes we forget that because it's the Packers and just because we've always had great quarterback play from the Green Bay Packers. So this was a bit of a reminder of what this team could be. I am still worried about this defense, though. Like, you trade for Micah Parsons, you make the moves that they made, you have the talent that they have. This should be a much better defensive football team than the one that we are seeing right now. So that's still something that's kind of in the back of my mind a little bit around this team. But really, what a weird Sunday this was in the National Football League. When you look at the Dolphins blowing out the Falcons, who are now officially the most difficult team to get a read on, maybe in sports right now. When you look at some of the great performances that they have had, they beat the Bills, but they've lost to the Panthers and to now the Miami Dolphins by a combined 1,000,000 points. I don't understand it with this team at all. And I get there were injuries for Atlanta this week, but not that many injuries. Good Lord. The Jets won. So we will not have an 0-17 team for the first time in NFL history. They go out and get the job done against the Bengals, who this was a bit of a coming back down to earth moment for them. Like, hey, Joe Flacco, if he plays them, like Joe Burrow could come back for the playoffs. This could be a sneaky kind of, they lost to the Jets. Snap back to reality for the Bengals. And then the Ravens apparently don't need Lamar Jackson anymore. They get a win over the Bears, and the Texans don't need an offensive line, as maybe the injuries to the San Francisco defense catching up with them a little bit. So it was just a whole lot. We've had Chris Harris on here in the past. He likes to say on his show, mind palaces shattering. A whole lot of mind palaces were shattered this week, as a lot of things that we just assumed to be true in the NFL just right in everyone's face. But the big story of the week was, unfortunately, with the New York Giants, as Cam Skattebo, the Red Bull of a running back that the Giants had, has been a spark plug for this team, coming off of a lightning rod of a college career, and really was part of a new identity that was being built with the Giants, with him and Jackson Dart, a couple of rookies coming in, not being smart enough to know they should be afraid, and just running around and just having a wild time. And it's Skattebo going on a run. He gets tackled. Teammate goes to help him up. Skattebo looks down and, oh, hey, my foot's pointing sideways, and there seems to be something really jutting out where my ankle should be, but on the other side. And it's a dislocated, whatever the heck. It's a, hey, your foot's on sideways injury that I would presume is going to keep Skattebo out for a really, really, really long time. And it sucks. Like, there isn't deep analysis or anything like that. Like, there isn't every layer of this. It sucks. Like, for the dude, this is an unbelievable run he was on, pardon the pun, where you get to take over as the starting running back for the New York Giants, which, I mean, like, to some, that's a marquee franchise, but still, it's New York. They play in New Jersey, but still. He was getting all the buzz and all the headlines and getting all this attention, and he's ripping his shirt off on Thursday Night Football, and he's having a time, and he's becoming a superstar in front of everyone's eyes, and now that gets pushed back. And you can't have many of these injuries before it changes who you are as a football player. So just for him, it sucks. Like, that is the very first part of it, is just how devastating that is for the human being, Cam Skattebo. For, like, the football team, it's devastating. You could see Jackson Dart and how upset he was when you saw that injury. And I know there are some who would say that maybe you need to keep your composure. When you see your teammate's ankle staring at you, it's okay to be upset about that, I think. And so for the team and the organization, it sucks. And you are also trying to foster a new culture and build it around this new young quarterback that you have. And now you don't have a very big part of kind of setting that tone that they had there. So just every aspect of it is just awful. Like, you feel awful for Giants fans who haven't had a lot to cheer for in the last little while. So for the player, teammates, organization, fans, no one wins in a moment like this. And it really is too bad that one of the fun stories from the NFL season has to go out in that way. If you're enjoying what we're doing here on Couch Potato Diary, you should bring us with you wherever you're going. Check us out in podcast form on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your pods.